Lisa Frankenstein. Released February 9, 2024. Directed by Zelda Williams. Written by Diablo Cody. Starring Kathryn Newton and Cole Sprouse. Rotten Tomatoes score, 50%. IMDb, 6.4 out of 10. Metacritic, 48. Welcome back to Real Reviews. I am your host, Lee. Today we are talking about the directorial debut of Zelda Williams, Lisa Frankenstein. I walked into this movie, not familiar with Kathryn Newton, only familiar with Cole Sprouse from the first season of Riverdale, and only having seen one of Diablo Cody's previous movies. I went in with no expectations. I really just wanted to see a movie, and it didn't look terrible. Spoiler, it isn't. I think that a lot of big reviewers probably got hung up on the fact that it is very obviously influenced by loads of 80s and 90s movies, or the fact that it relies heavily on tropes as a shorthand. This movie isn't groundbreaking, but it is very fun. I had the benefit of my theater playing a short clip of Diablo Cody explaining some of her inspiration for this movie. She mentioned Rocky Horror Picture Show, Weird Science, and Edward Scissorhands. You can tell easily that they are influences if you are familiar with any of them. Some are lines that are directly paying homage, some scenes, some themes. Cody doesn't back down from the inspiration. The movie doesn't spend too much time pretending that it is going to play it straight. This is a funny, camp-style, murder romance. On that note, there are a few things some viewers may be interested in knowing before viewing. Early on there is a scene of mild and quickly ended sexual assault, which consists of non-consensual groping. Also, there is some body disfigurement. It also ends pretty quick, but it happens a few times. One interesting thing is that Cody also states that she was inspired by some silent films from the 20s and 30s, and Williams clearly wanted to lean into it because there are tons of references to silent films, especially A Trip to the Moon from 1902. The writing is pretty straightforward when you know of the influences, and that it is set in the late 80s. You get hints of things like Hocus Pocus and My Boyfriend's Back as well. It is the story of a senior in high school living through the trauma of her mother being killed by an axe murderer. Then her father quickly getting remarried to like the classically awful suburban stepmother who is played by Carla Gugino, who really seems to embody that trope perfectly. If you are looking for horror, just know that it leans closer to the comedy of something like The Evil Dead show, and not the horror of the movies. Cody clearly wanted it to be campy and silly, and as soon as it starts being silly, it just goes with it. Awkward girl turned crazy murderer? Check. Guy so in love with her that he kills to protect her? Check. People who mistreated her being the victims? Check. And like all such stories, they go too far too quickly. The acting is the real shining point, especially Sprouse. He has no lines until the very last scene of the whole movie. Everything is facial expressions, body acting, and grunts. He spends about the first act of the movie walking around very stiff like that of a generic zombie or Frankenstein's monster. As Lisa rebuilds him, he becomes less dead-looking, and his motions also get better and smoother with each increase of his vitality. The only thing I have ever seen Newton in was her role in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium, and so I had absolutely no clue what to expect. She does a fantastic job playing this super introverted, awkward character that slowly but very surely grows into a menacing and creepy character. Most of the side characters also do a pretty good job acting. Joe Crest seemingly does a good job, but his character is so damn bland that I have no clue if he added anything to it. I think the pacing is pretty good for the most part. They have some scenes that might feel like they drag on, but given how the main character is, it honestly fits. And some of the scenes are pretty damn awkward, but again, so is the main character. This movie has a runtime of 1 hour 41 minutes, and it could stand to lose maybe 10 minutes before it would start losing some of the things that make it entertaining. This movie is shot pretty well. Nothing feels super out of place except one scene towards the end, which has a very obviously done CG blood splatter. Probably my favorite part was some of the kinda weird animated scenes which feel like what you get from combining Edgar Wright and Tim Burton. As most everything is practical in the movie, everything was shot intentionally, and you can tell, so nothing really feels off, again except that one short scene. Overall, I would give this like a 7 out of 10. It is fun. The theater I was in was full of laughs at all the right moments, so clearly on some level it works for the average viewers. This will never be a critical darling, but maybe it can succeed in the box office. I would recommend this movie, making note of the warnings I brought up before. Like always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe. Tomorrow I should have a video reviewing 2 more comics, and next week looks to be at least another 3 video week.